My brothers and sisters, listen to me carefully tonight. The greatest war you will ever fight is not against another person, not against your past, not even against the world that tries to break you. It is the war that rages within your own soul. The war between what you feel and what you believe. The war between despair that whispers, "Give up," and faith that cries, "Hold on." You see, true happiness is not some fragile emotion that appears when everything is fine. No, it is forged in the heat of pain. It is born in the middle of chaos. You do not find happiness when life becomes easy. You build it when life becomes unbearable. That is where strength is born. That is where your spirit is purified. Because life has a strange way of testing the very thing you claim to believe. It will shake the foundations of your peace to see if it was built on comfort or conviction. Some of you listening to me right now, you are tired. You are smiling on the outside, but inside you're breaking. You wake up every day and you wear a mask of strength, but the truth is, you are fighting to breathe, and the world doesn't see it. They don't hear the silent cry in your heart. But I want you to know this: you are not weak because you feel broken. You are not lost because you struggle to smile. You are in a sacred battle. And the fact that you are still standing, still trying, still reaching for peace in the middle of your pain, that makes you stronger than you realize. True happiness is not when the storm passes. It's when you learn to stand in the rain without drowning in your own sorrow. When you tell your soul, "I will not give up. I will not let darkness define me." That's when transformation begins. Every tear you've cried, every heartbreak you've carried, every night you've spent questioning your purpose, it was not wasted. It was shaping you, humbling you, preparing you for something greater than you can imagine. So I ask you tonight, when life pushes you down, will you stay there? Or will you rise and push back? Because the truth is, no one can fight the battle inside you but you. No one can crawl into the darkness of your mind and switch on the light for you. That choice, that sacred decision, is yours alone. Do not run from the pain, face it. Do not curse the storm, learn from it. Every time your heart breaks, it's teaching you how to love deeper. Every disappointment is teaching you how to stand taller, and every loss is pushing you closer to the truth. That happiness is not a place you arrive at, it's a strength you awaken within. So rise, even if your legs tremble. Smile, even if your heart aches. Because in that moment, when the world expects you to fall, and you choose to stand anyway, that is the birth of true happiness. And yet, after you rise, there comes a silence that no applause can fill, no words can comfort. It is that haunting stillness after the storm, when the noise of life fades and you are left alone with yourself. That silence, my friends, is where the second battle begins. The battle of silent suffering. There are moments in life when you cannot even explain what you feel. You try to speak, but words betray you. You try to cry, but even your tears run dry. You lie awake at night staring at the ceiling, wondering if anyone can see how close you are to collapsing. And you walk among people, smiling, nodding, pretending to be okay. But inside, you are screaming. That's what silent suffering is. The pain that hides behind the eyes, the war that no one sees. And the tragedy of it all is that the world celebrates strength, but misunderstands struggle. They will clap for your victories but ignore your wounds. They'll call you strong because you never break down. But what they don't see is how many times you've had to glue yourself back together just to make it through another day. Listen to me. There is nothing shameful about being broken. There is nothing weak about your tears. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is simply keep breathing. Sometimes the greatest act of faith is to whisper, "God, I don't understand, but I still trust you." Because when life breaks you, it is not trying to destroy you. It is trying to reveal you. It is stripping away what is false so that what is real can finally emerge. Every scar on your soul is a testimony. Every pain you've carried in silence is evidence that you've survived battles no one else knew were being fought. There is beauty in that kind of pain, because it refines you. It makes your compassion deeper. It softens the heart that once judged others. It opens your eyes to see that everyone you meet is fighting something unseen. You see, pain is the great equalizer. It doesn't care who you are, how powerful, how educated, or how wealthy. It will visit every soul. But here's the mystery. Not everyone learns from it. Some allow pain to harden them. Others allow it to humble them. Some become bitter. Others become better. The difference lies in how you interpret your suffering. I have seen people who lost everything and still radiate peace. And I have seen people who have everything yet walk in misery. Why? Because peace is not found in the absence of pain, but in the presence of purpose. When you understand that your suffering has meaning, it transforms from a wound into wisdom. So tonight, I want you to reflect. What is your pain trying to teach you? Maybe it's showing you how to let go. Maybe it's teaching you to trust what you cannot see. Maybe it's molding your character for the next chapter of your life. Whatever it is, do not waste your suffering by resenting it. Let it speak to you. Let it refine you. Let it awaken you. Some of you are praying for God to take the pain away. But what if He's allowing it to shape something divine in you? What if the silence you hate so much is the very place He's preparing your transformation? The diamond does not form in comfort. It forms in pressure, in darkness, in time. And so does your soul. Yes, the weight feels unbearable. Yes, the nights feel endless. But one day you will look back and realize that those were the very moments that built your strength, your faith, your resilience. Pain, when endured with purpose, becomes the soil in which joy grows. So do not curse your silent seasons. In the silence, your roots are growing deeper. In the silence, your heart is learning endurance. And when the time is right, when the lessons are complete, you will rise from that silence, not as the same person who entered it, but as someone who has seen the depths of darkness and still chosen the light. That, my brothers and sisters, is what silent suffering truly is. It is not the end of your story. It is the sacred beginning of your transformation. Because sometimes, when God wants to speak the loudest, He first brings you into silence. And when that silence has done its work, when the tears have carved wisdom into your heart, and your soul begins to breathe again, that is when you face the most defining choice of your life. The choice to see light in the darkness. Because the truth, my friends, is that happiness will never come by accident. It is not stumbled upon, it is chosen. Chosen in the very hour when your world seems to have lost its color. Chosen when everything in you aches to surrender. There comes a point when you must look at your pain and say, I will not let you rule me. That is the moment when power returns to your spirit. That is when you stop waiting for the storm to pass. And instead, you start dancing in the rain. Because joy is not born when everything is fixed. It is born when you learn to live despite what is broken. Listen carefully. There are two kinds of people in this world: those who let darkness define them, and those who use darkness to refine them. The first curse the night, the second learn to see the stars through it. The difference is not in their pain, but in their choice. You can let life make you bitter, or you can let it make you better. The fire that destroys wax hardens clay. The same fire, two different outcomes, determined by what lies within. Happiness, therefore, is not a reaction, it is a rebellion. It is the defiant act of the soul that refuses to bow before despair. When you decide, I will smile again, you are not denying your pain. You are declaring your victory over it. You are telling the darkness, you may visit, but you cannot stay. Some of you have lived too long waiting for the day when everything will be perfect before you allow yourself to feel peace. But that day never comes. There will always be something missing, something hurting, something uncertain. And if you wait for happiness to be delivered to you, you will spend your life in emotional captivity. But if you choose happiness, if you say, even now, even here, I will find something to thank God for, then nothing can hold you prisoner again. Because light does not ask for permission to shine. It shines because the darkness exists. You don't need to escape your pain to see beauty. Sometimes you only need to open your eyes. Look at your scars. They are not signs of defeat, they are marks of endurance. Look at your tears. They prove that your heart still feels, still hopes, still believes. And look at yourself. Standing here, breathing, surviving, you are living proof that darkness can be endured and overcome. When you decide to see light, your entire reality begins to shift. The same situation that once broke you becomes your teacher. The same loss that once crushed you becomes your wisdom, because your perception determines your peace. The world outside may remain chaotic, but the world within becomes still. That stillness, that sacred calm, is where divine happiness is born. And I tell you, this choice is not made once. It must be made every day. Every morning you wake up and your past whispers, "You failed." You must answer, "I am still here." Every night your fears try to speak louder than your faith. You must answer, "My hope will not die." That is the daily discipline of choosing light. It is not easy. It demands courage. It demands trust. It demands faith in what you cannot yet see. But that is where transformation happens. In that sacred decision to rise, even when everything in you trembles. When you choose to see light, you open the door for healing. When you choose to be grateful, even for one small thing, you give your heart permission to rest. And when you choose joy, you remind your soul that it was created not to survive, but to shine. So tonight, let this be your declaration: I choose light. I choose to rise. I choose to be happy even when life is hard. Say it until your soul believes it. Say it until your spirit burns brighter than your wounds. Because happiness, real happiness, is not the reward for a life without pain. It is the strength to see God's hand even in the darkness. And when you can do that, when you can look into the night and still whisper, "It is well with my soul," then you have discovered the kind of peace that nothing and no one can ever take away. And once you have chosen light, once your trembling soul has learned to stand again in the midst of its own ashes, then comes the deeper test, the one that separates those who only survive from those who truly overcome. It is the test of gratitude. Not the shallow gratitude that speaks when life is sweet, but the sacred gratitude that whispers, "Thank you," even when your world is burning. Because gratitude is not a reaction, it is a weapon. It is the sword you raise when darkness tries to consume you. It is the language of faith when everything else around you has gone silent. My brothers and sisters, hear me clearly. It is easy to be grateful when life smiles at you. It is easy to thank God when doors open, when prayers are answered, when dreams unfold. But the true power of gratitude is revealed when nothing makes sense, when your prayers seem unanswered, and yet you still lift your hands and say, "God, I trust you." That moment, that sacred act of defiance, shakes the very gates of despair. You see, gratitude in pain does not ignore reality, it transcends it. It does not say, "Everything is fine." It says, "Even though it is not fine, I will still believe that good will come from this." That kind of gratitude builds strength that cannot be broken. It transforms your suffering from a chain into a classroom. It teaches your heart that peace is not the absence of storms, but the awareness of God's presence within them. Some of you have lost so much that even the word thankful feels foreign on your tongue. You've buried dreams, endured betrayals, faced disappointments that cut too deep. And you wonder, how can I be grateful when everything hurts? But hear me. Gratitude does not erase the pain, it redefines it. It gives meaning to what once seemed meaningless. It takes what was meant to destroy you and turns it into fuel for your resurrection. When you thank God in the fire, the flames lose their power to consume you. When you thank Him in the valley, the shadows lose their power to frighten you. Gratitude, my friends, is not weakness, it is warfare. Every time you say, "Thank you," in the middle of hardship, you are declaring that your circumstances do not control your spirit, your faith does. And that declaration echoes in the unseen realm. Gratitude changes your posture toward life. It turns your focus from what you lost to what remains, from what hurts to what heals. It softens your heart, clears your mind, and anchors your soul. You begin to see blessings in places you once overlooked, in the breath you still have, in the sunrise you still witness, in the people who still love you. Gratitude is the quiet realization that no matter how heavy life feels, you still have reasons to hope. And I want you to understand something profound. Gratitude is not natural to the human heart, it is spiritual. The flesh complains, the spirit gives thanks. The flesh curses what it doesn't understand. The spirit surrenders and trusts. That is why it takes divine strength to be grateful in suffering. It is not your strength keeping you together. It is grace, molding your heart to see beauty in brokenness. There will be nights when you cannot find the words to pray, but if you can whisper one phrase, let it be, "Thank you." Because in that single act of gratitude, you align yourself with heaven's perspective. You rise above your pain. You claim your victory before it is visible. Gratitude turns pain into purpose and struggle into strength. It transforms despair into divine intimacy, where your soul learns to say, "Even if everything else falls apart, I still have you, Lord." And that is enough. When gratitude becomes your language, miracles begin quietly. The same place that once felt like your grave becomes your garden. The same tears that once blinded you begin to water your growth. Gratitude opens doors that complaining keeps closed. It heals wounds that bitterness keeps bleeding. It shifts your focus from what's missing to what's possible. So tonight, let this truth settle in your heart. Gratitude is not just a feeling, it is a decision. A decision to trust, to see, to hope, even when everything around you tries to convince you otherwise. It is the spiritual armor of the strong, the fragrance of the faithful, and the song of those who refuse to be broken. And when you learn to live like that, when gratitude flows from your lips even in the valley, then no storm can uproot you, no loss can destroy you, no pain can silence you. Because you have discovered the secret happiness is not found in what you have, but in the heart that gives thanks no matter what remains. And yet, even when gratitude has softened your soul and opened your eyes to the divine purpose behind your pain, there remains another battle, perhaps the most relentless one of all, the battle with your own thoughts. Because your happiness, your peace, your entire emotional world depends not on what happens to you, but on what happens within you. The most dangerous voice you will ever hear is not the one that criticizes you from the outside. It's the one that whispers inside your mind when the world goes silent. That inner voice, my brothers and sisters, is sacred. It can be your greatest ally or your most merciless enemy. It can build you into a conqueror or break you into dust. And here is the truth. Many people are not destroyed by life, but by the conversation they have with themselves about life. They are prisoners of their own thoughts, chained not by circumstance, but by their own perception of it. Listen to me carefully. The mind is a battlefield. Every day, you are fighting thoughts that try to tell you you're not enough, that you've failed too much, that you'll never heal. These thoughts are subtle. They wear the voice of reason, but their purpose is to erode your faith piece by piece. That is why you must guard your inner dialogue, because the words you repeat in silence eventually become the reality you live in. If your inner voice condemns you, you will live in guilt even when forgiven. If it belittles you, you will walk in defeat, even when surrounded by opportunity. But if it uplifts you, if that voice speaks hope, faith, and truth, then even in your darkest season, you will walk as a victor. The difference between despair and strength begins in the sentences you whisper to your own soul. You see, the world trains you to speak power outwardly, to motivate others, to sound strong, but true transformation begins when you learn to speak power inwardly. When you wake up and tell yourself, I am still chosen, I am still capable, I am still loved. That inner dialogue begins to reshape your entire atmosphere. Because words are not just sounds, they are seeds. And whatever seeds you plant in your mind, your emotions will water and your life will harvest. I have seen people destroyed not by tragedy, but by the story they told themselves about it. It's over. I'll never recover. I'm broken beyond repair. And those words became their truth. But I have also seen others walk through the same fire and whisper to themselves, this pain will not define me. I will rise again. I will find purpose in this. And their inner dialogue became the foundation of their rebirth. You must understand that your thoughts are not harmless. They are architects. Every day, they build the house your soul lives in. If you constantly entertain fear, you will live in anxiety. If you continually meditate on failure, you will walk in insecurity. But if you fill your mind with truth, that you are loved, that you are capable, that God is still with you, then even when the world collapses, your inner house stands unshaken. And this requires discipline. You cannot let your mind wander freely into negativity and then wonder why your heart feels heavy. You must take authority over your thoughts. You must command your inner world to align with faith, not fear. This is not denial. This is spiritual maturity. It is saying, yes, life is difficult, but I will not let despair dominate my inner voice. Because every time you refuse to feed your pain with your words, you weaken its hold on your soul. Some of you have been speaking death over yourselves for years without realizing it. You call yourself unlucky, unworthy, unwanted. You have built a cage with your own confessions. But tonight, that can change. Tonight, you can choose to rebuild that inner world with new words, with divine truth. Begin to speak to yourself as someone worth saving, worth healing, worth loving. Remind yourself that the same God who created the stars also breathed life into you. And He makes no mistakes. Your happiness will never outgrow the quality of your thoughts. Guard them. Feed them truth. Speak life even when you feel lifeless. Because every time your inner voice says, I will rise, the darkness inside you begins to tremble. Every time it says, I am loved, the chains of shame begin to fall. And every time it says, I am not done yet, your destiny stirs back to life. So tonight, make peace with yourself. Forgive yourself. Speak kindly to your own soul. Because happiness does not begin when the world changes. It begins when your thoughts do. And when your inner voice becomes your friend instead of your enemy, then no force on earth, no wound from your past, and no shadow in your heart can ever silence your joy again. And when that inner voice finally begins to heal, when it no longer whispers destruction, but begins to breathe life back into your weary heart, that is when the final revelation unfolds. You were never meant to search endlessly for happiness. You were meant to build it. You are not a wanderer in pursuit of joy. You are the architect of it. Happiness is not discovered by accident or inherited by chance. It is constructed with deliberate intention, brick by brick, through faith, patience, and endurance. My brothers and sisters, This is where the truth becomes both beautiful and demanding. Because the moment you realize that happiness is not something you find, but something you create, you can no longer blame the world for not giving it to you. You can no longer point at others for why your heart is empty. The responsibility comes home, to your own hands, your own spirit, your own choices. And yes, it is heavy, but it is also liberating. You have the tools to build peace within you. You've had them all along. Every time you forgave when you could have hated, you laid a brick. Every time you believed when you could have doubted, you laid another. Every time you smiled through tears, every time you prayed instead of panicked, every time you got up after being knocked down, you were building. And that structure, invisible to others but sacred to heaven, is what I call the architecture of inner joy. Do you know what that means? It means you are not helpless. It means no person, no failure, no loss, no betrayal can permanently steal your happiness. Because you, and only you, hold the blueprint. You decide what to build with the ruins of your life. You decide whether pain becomes your prison or your foundation. Some people spend their entire lives waiting for someone to make them happy. They wait for love, for recognition, for success, as if happiness is a reward given to the deserving. But listen to me, happiness does not come to you. It comes through you. It flows out of a heart that has learned to transform suffering into strength, wounds into wisdom, waiting into worship. It is not an emotion to be chased. It is a structure to be built. And yes, building takes time. There will be days when it feels like progress has stopped. Days when the walls of your peace seem to crumble again. Do not be discouraged. Even when nothing appears to be changing, something deep inside you is growing roots. You are becoming stable, unshakable, because true happiness is not fragile. It does not shatter under pressure. It becomes stronger through it. Let me tell you something profound. The happiest people are not those who have the easiest lives. They are those who have faced the deepest pain and refused to let it define them. They are the builders who learn to create beauty out of brokenness. They are the ones who said, "If joy cannot be found in this world, then I will create it within my own heart." That is divine strength. That is the spirit of a warrior clothed in grace. And I know it's not easy. Building while bleeding, creating while crying, hoping while hurting, it feels impossible. But that's how masterpieces are made. You are not rebuilding from nothing. You are rebuilding with everything life has taught you. Every scar carries instruction. Every heartbreak carries revelation. You are wiser now, deeper now, stronger now. The same walls that once confined you can now protect your peace, if you choose to rebuild with wisdom instead of resentment. So ask yourself tonight, what are you constructing in your soul? Are you stacking bricks of bitterness or bricks of belief? Are you laying foundations of fear or of faith? Because every thought, every word, every act of forgiveness or gratitude, it all adds up. One day, when the noise of this world fades and the storms settle, you will find yourself standing inside the home you've built, a home of peace, strength, and joy that no one can take from you. And when that day comes, you will finally understand. You were never a victim. You were a creator in the making. Every trial was your training ground. Every loss was shaping your vision. Every tear was watering the soil of your future joy. So keep building, keep believing, keep pushing yourself to be happy, even when life is hard. Because you are not waiting for happiness to arrive. You are constructing it with your own hands, with your faith, with your resilience. And when the last stone is laid, when your spirit finally rests within the fortress of peace you built from the ruins of your pain, you will look back and realize it was never life that made you happy. It was you, choosing light, gratitude, and love again and again until heaven itself took notice.